what is hypergamy? Let's start there. What is hypergamy? Okay? Hypergamy, guys, is the practice and mating strategy that women employ to secure the most competent, able-bodied male that they can. Okay? And you guys need to understand that this is a biological need. Just like you need to bust a nut with hot girls, they need to bust a hypergamy with some higher status guys, right? For lack of a better term. So I say that because it's their circuitry. It's inherent to them. It's like they can't turn it off, okay? Now, some women are more hypergamous than others, but the bottom line is 99% of women are hypergamous and prefer a man that's better than them, and they date up, okay? So that's number one. You need to understand that this is the mating strategy of women, okay? It's also important to note that despite the fact that we have women that can make their own money and protect themselves and are completely self-sufficient and don't rely upon men in a modern-day world, they still have this biological inclination to exercise hypergamy because it's natural. So if anything, modernity only enhances the hypergamy. Let me explain. A girl in the 1950s, right, might only care about having a provider that can make enough for her and him. But then you fast forward to 2026, a girl that makes $100,000 per year is still going to want a guy that makes $150,000 per year. So if anything, their own status dictates where they start from when it comes to the hypergamy ladder. Okay? So stay with me. We're defining what hypergamy is and how it works for women. Then we're going to get into the other stuff. But the bottom line you guys need to know is that women are hypergamous and they're always looking for the best. They might not outwardly admit this to you for obvious reasons, because it's actually a very unflattering biological trait that they all share, and they don't want to come off as surface level or shallow or, materialistic, but they inherently are, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's literally a survival mechanism, okay? Because prior to the age of modernity, women weren't able to exist on their own. A woman would not be able to go out there and forge enough resources to create enough calories for herself and her offspring. She needed a man to do that, right? And she also needed a man to protect her from other men, okay? This is why polygamy was so big back then, and the top guys had all the women, because that guy can guarantee their safety. So therefore, he was rewarded with sexual access to those women, okay? Okay. So now that we've established what hypergamy is, how women are, the goal of many, of especially the Abrahamic religions, since hypergamy is a pretty destructive force that's necessary for survival, it needs to be checked and reeled in, okay? The Bible, the Quran, the Torah, several religions identified that hypergamy can be really bad for stability of mankind. Why? Because if you allow women to just basically, be as hypergamous as they want to be with no checks and balances, you end up in a deregulated sexual marketplace, which is what we actually have right now. What's a deregulated sexual marketplace? A deregulated sexual marketplace, guys, is a marketplace where anyone can bang anyone as long as age of consent is met, or your name is Jake Lang. Sorry, I had to. It's too, hey, it's in the news. But the point is that we're in a deregulated sexual marketplace. And this is precisely why religions had buffers to nerf female hypergamy, because if female hypergamy is unchecked, you run into serious societal problems like we have right now. Okay? So first, women are hypergamous. Second, it's a biological trait that they can't help. Third, regardless of how much money they make or their own status, they're still going to want more than them. Hypergamy still exists regardless of their ability to create security for themselves. Next, religion put buffers on hypergamy. Well, those buffers are gone. Religion, shame, the family unit, societal norms and standards, all of that has degraded. And what's left is this deregulated sexual marketplace where women can do anything that they want. They can exercise hypergamy however they want. And this is how you end up with videos like this, where you have a girl that has a relationship with a guy giving a number to another dude openly with very little shame. And this is because we have removed institutions that historically have been around to shame women for poor behavior like this. It's very important that you guys understand this. The reason why women are out of order is because we have removed the institutions that used to keep them in order. One of the biggest fucking kryptonites for women, besides accountability, is shame. Okay? Say that again. One of the biggest pieces of kryptonite to women is shame. I would go a step further to tell you guys that one of the chief goals of feminism was to remove shame. Remove shame from working. Remove shame for being single. Remove shame from not being a mother. Remove shame for being promiscuous. That is what, that is the power of shame. Feminists will sit there and tell you, oh no, we just want equality. But equality at what cost? And how so? Well, it's equality at the cost. It's equality by removing standards and shame on women and making the standards of men become the standards of women. That is how they've been able to remove it. And that has been the chief goal of feminism from the beginning. They'll sit there and tell you guys on the surface level, we're just fighting for equality. That's kind of a half-truth. It's a kernel of truth. The other significant part of that is removing shame from not having a family. That's the other thing. Now, it's so etched into our society that I'll have bimbos come on my show and say, I have a career that makes me successful, but she's a thought with no kids, 35 years old. What the fuck are you talking about, bitch? Like,